Hello everybody, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. Now in today's video, we're going to be talking about the brand new latest Galaxy S22 Ultra that just landed here in Malaysia. I actually have the device with me right now and have been using it for the past few days. Now in today's video, I'm not going to be doing like a full review of the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, but rather I'm going to be sharing with you my personal experience after using this device for, like I said, a couple of days. Now I know that there are plenty of reviews out there, but I don't want to always focus on just the specifications. These days, almost every phone out there is capable of putting in all the best hardware, but I think it's really all about the user experience that actually changes how you feel towards a certain smartphone. So we're going to talk about that, the S22 Ultra, right now, today. Alright, so first up, before I begin, we of course have to talk about the price. Now the price for the S22 Ultra in Malaysia is starting from RM5099, and that's approximately $1,200, but that's only for the 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal memory. So if you really want to have that so-called Ultra experience, I would say that you have to go for at least the mid-spec level, which is the 12GB of RAM and 256GB of internal storage. That's the bare minimum, and that will set you back about RM5499, which is approximately $1,300. So by all means, this is not a cheap phone at all. It is quite expensive. In fact, one of the most expensive Android devices out today. Alright, so now that we've done with the price, let me share with you my experience about this guy. Now I want to start off very quickly in terms of the design. As you can see, my unit right here is the burgundy, sort of purplish color, and I think it looks quite cool. Definitely I would have loved to try out the black and the white and all that, but this is the model that I actually was able to get, so it looks quite nice. In terms of the back panel, it is made of glass. The sides are all these aluminum sides, so it's actually feeling very, very solid. So that's the first impressions that I got after holding this device. Now, in terms of how it looks, I must say that it's not the most attractive. It is looking very subtle. It definitely carries Samsung's corporate image at the back with this specific camera cutout especially. So it does look like something from the Galaxy A52s. And I think it's not really a good or a bad thing depending on how you like the design of the back here. Overall, I just have to say that it feels very solid and premium in my hand. Definitely a little bit heavier for my liking. It is approximately 229 grams. So definitely not a lightweight phone at all. Now, another thing that I want to point out here is that the device itself is IP68 rated. That means you can submerge the phone into water, you can take some underwater shots and all that. So it's quite cool. Overall, I would say that the design is bland, but it also does still look quite attractive. Alright, so now done with the design, let's talk a little bit about the display. Yes, we do have a large display at the front. In fact, just in terms of numbers, I'll put the specifications here just so you know. 6.8 inches, dynamic AMOLED and all that stuff. But again, in terms of the actual user experience, what I can say here about this display is that it is a very large display. And I want to point out one thing, and that is actually the bezels all around the display itself. It is very symmetrical and very slim. So the good thing here is that on the sides, it is actually a slightly curved display, but it's not curved so much to the fact that you have accidental presses. The curve on the sides is just nice to make it look like it is bezel-less on the sides, but it does not affect any accidental touches on the side, and I love that about the display. Now the second thing about the display that I absolutely love here is in terms of the brightness. So by now, you would have known that the S22 Ultra brightness go all the way up to 1750 nits, which means it's super bright, and even under the brightest sun outdoors, the display was still super bright. And never ever had I have any issues with just reading the display under that bright sunlight. So that's definitely a good thing there as well. Other than that, again, in terms of user experience, it's very smooth, it's large, it looks great for watching movies, especially if you like to watch like YouTube and Netflix. You can do all that perfectly fine on the S22 Ultra. Now we'll move a little bit more and talk a little bit about the performance and all that. Now this is the first device here in Malaysia at least to actually come with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor. Previous years, we always had the Exynos processors, which honestly speaking, I won't really comment whether it's that bad as some people have mentioned, but let's talk a bit about the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Now I've actually experienced this processor a couple of times now. I had the Xiaomi 12 Pro, the Xiaomi 12, so I know what to expect with this Snapdragon so-called best Qualcomm processor to date. Well, overall, in terms of performance, of course, this is a flagship level processor. That means that it will run all kinds of apps any kind of games that you can throw at it at the best, highest maximum settings. So that's what you can expect from the S22 Ultra. Now, in terms of the heating issues, does it still heat up? Well, I would say that on the S22 Ultra, I noticed that the heat was not as hot on my previous Xiaomi 12 Pro. Somehow Samsung has managed to put in some cooling mechanism to actually bring the temperatures down a little bit, or perhaps it could be because of this back panel that doesn't really absorb that heat that much. So I noticed that it wasn't so hot, but yes, it still does tend to heat up even when you are taking photos or videos with the camera itself. But overall, just in terms of performance, you're getting the best specs here. Everything just runs very smoothly without any lags. Now, since we're talking about performance, I should also point out another thing, and that is actually the UI, the user interface. So we do have OneUI over here. And again, like I mentioned, I've been using a lot of Xiaomi devices, Oppo, Realme, OnePlus and all that. And all these other manufacturers are actually being more innovative in the sense that they're offering more customizations to their UI itself. So when I use OneUI on the Samsung S22 Ultra, I noticed that I could not have as many customizations as I used to have. Hopefully in the future, Samsung actually gives us more functions and more fun stuff to play with their OneUI. Alright, so now let's talk a little bit about the cameras at the back. As you can see here, like I said, we do have this very interesting corporate look camera cutout. And yes, we do have 4 sensors at the back. This is being led by the 108 megapixel main sensor. You have 2 10 megapixel telephoto lens. One does 3 times optical zoom. The other one does 10 times optical zoom. And last but not least, you have an ultra wide sensor that pushes out 12 megapixels. Alright, so that's just the megapixel count. In terms of the camera image quality, the main word that actually comes to my mind when taking photos with this S22 Ultra is actually consistency. So regardless of whether you are taking photos during the day, whether you are taking during the night, every photo will turn out looking great. And that's what you can actually expect from a flagship device from Samsung. Now, just in terms of pictures, I actually want to point out the telephoto lens here because I think it's doing an excellent job. Now, regardless of whether you want to zoom in on your neighbors, you want to spy on someone, or if you just want to see what's the road sign about 2 kilometers or maybe even 5 kilometers away, I noticed that based on my personal eyesight, it is equivalent to the 3 times optical zoom. But this sensor here is actually very, very strong, so capable to the fact that I think it's actually a set of binoculars in my pocket because I am able to see way beyond what my eyes can see. And these are a couple of sample shots that I'll show you right now. It is simply mind-boggling the amount of detail that you can get from such a far distance. Definitely have to give a thumbs up to the telephoto lens on the Samsung S22 Ultra. Now, of course, I also did take a very quick video and I'm going to drop it right in front here so you can take a look at how the stabilization looks like, how the video looks like and all that. And of course, do comment down below if you think it's great or not. Alright everybody, this is going to be a video test. We're going to go from a brightly lit area into a more dark lit area. So we'll see how the exposure shows up on the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Let me just check if my hands are in focus. Alright, so over here we have a very bright area. So this is the stabilization of the phone itself, and we're going to walk into this slightly darker area and see how it shows up. Let me know what you guys think of this very quick video test. I'm trying to walk as fast at normal speeds, actually. Normal speeds. Yeah, this is how it looks like walking through the brightly lit area. Funny thing enough, my hands doesn't focus very quickly. Takes a while to focus. Come on, it's not focusing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, very hot sun today. And yeah, we're going to head into that area, which is dimmer. But again, the focus on the hands is not as quick as I expected. Okay, we've reached our destination. Come on, focus, focus. Alright guys, so now done with the cameras, I want to talk a little bit about the battery life. Now, battery life wise, we do have a 5000 mAh battery in the back. I think it is a fair amount because these days we have a couple of phones with 5000 mAh battery. It does support 45 watts, which unfortunately you do not get the charger in the box, and this comes the headache itself because finding a charger that actually is able to push that 45 watts based on Samsung's requirements is actually quite difficult. So I have a couple of chargers lying in the house, but I noticed that when I charged them up, it wasn't actually running at maximum speed. So yeah, just a little bit of a question mark over there on the kind of chargers, but I guess you got to go to the shop and actually buy the official charger. Alright, so now just in terms of battery life, I noticed that on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, it is not optimized perfectly well yet. And by that, I mean that the battery was actually dropping a little bit more than I expected. So for instance, I play a lot of Mobile Legends, I take a couple of photos, videos and all that. I noticed that the battery was actually dropping quite significantly for a device like this. So yeah, a little bit of a question mark again. And hopefully this can be optimized in a future software update, just to prolong the battery life of the Samsung S22 Ultra 5G. Alright guys, bottom line is after that couple of days using the S22 Ultra, what is my thoughts on my personal user experience? Well, this is actually Samsung's best flagship device to date. Whether it is a huge upgrade to the previous S21 or even the Note 20 for that matter, I would say that the increments are actually very minor. There's not a lot of changes here, but yes, it still makes it updated for the year of 2022. And I also have to point out that these days, we're seeing so many different kind of offerings from Xiaomi, Oppo, Realme, OnePlus and all that, that somehow I'm not sure if this is just a little too bland in terms of the fun stuff, but yeah, that's what you get with the S22 Ultra. If you're looking for something solid, and of course, yeah, I also almost forgot to talk about the S Pen. Yes, the S Pen is actually back here, and like usual, you can take a couple of notes, you can scribble on the display and all that. If you like the S Pen and you think this is actually a must, well then I guess the Samsung S22 Ultra is actually for you. Otherwise, let me know if you have any further questions down in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Again, if you did enjoy this kind of content and you want to support local tech creators, well, don't forget to drop a like, sub to the channel, and that will be super much appreciated. Thank you everybody for watching till the end. I hope all of you are staying safe. Do take care. Bye.